Are you listening? Damn.
All right, welcome to AFC North Talk. This is our Week 11 preview show. We're going to be talking about 4 big matchups here in the AFC North, including our marquee matchup, the Tennessee Titans taking on the Baltimore Ravens, a rematch of that playoff game just, 9-10 months ago. First, let me introduce my co-hosts here. We have Sonny from SZG Sports coming to us all the way from the UK. Sonny, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you guys? Ready to do this thing?
Doing well, yeah. We also have Ace from New Stripe City. Ace, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Glad to be here.
We also have Quincy Carrier representing the Cleveland Browns. Quincy, how are you?
I'm doing good. I got my Bernie Kosar shirt on today, so nobody in chat harass me about not repping my team. Feeling good, ready to talk football this week, and actually good football today? Question mark. Thursday night football, not a terrible matchup, right?
I think all 3 matchups are pretty good, right? You've got tonight, you've got Seattle and Arizona. Then Sunday night, you've got Kansas City and Las Vegas, and Monday night is the Rams and the Bucs. There's some real good games, and of course, we're going to be talking about one of those good games this week between the Ravens and Titans. We do have a couple games in the division this week that are a little less exciting. Let's start with one of those. That is the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Washington football team. Ace, let's start with you. The Bengals coming off, of course, a tough loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're taking on a Washington team not playing well right now. Alex Smith at quarterback. What are your expectations for this football game?
It's like you said, it's not really a game to really get riled up for. You're talking about 2 teams that are possibly going to be picking in the top 5 to top 10 range. Yeah. Essentially, that's where they are, whether it's with the Washington Redskins not picking a quarterback. Obviously, that looks like it wasn't the right move now. And with the Cincinnati Bengals trying to build around Joe Burrow. Obviously, these teams are not doing well. So this is just kind of a measuring mark. One thing that I'm worried about in this game is although the Redskins aren't an amazing team, the Washington football team, I'm sorry.
You don't want to get demonetized.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Sorry about that. But the Washington football team obviously has a great pass rush. So it's going to be another test for this Bengals offensive line. And that's something that I'm worried about. There's all of these articles now coming out talking about, the Bengals have depth at offensive line now. No, it's still not a good offensive line. And they're going to get exposed against the Redskins. However, we kind of talked about Alex Smith last week off the air, and that's going to be something that bodes well for the Bengals. Who knows who they're going to have at quarterback? I would assume Alex Smith. But the major factor is also Antonio Gibson, the running back there, as well as Terry McLaurin. So it's going to be interesting. I hope that the Bengals can win, but I hope that the Bengals could win the past, most of the season for the most part. So We'll have to see.
When do fans as a fan base do you switch from all right, I hope we win to all right, now I'm kind of hoping for a top 5 pick?
I'm kind of hoping. I did it last season. See, Sonny doesn't understand that because he's a Ravens fan. But me and Quincy, we've been through that. And we're like, we need that top 5 pick.
It's like by week 5, you're like,
or Penny, however you say his name. I would love to sew that up. I mean, at this point, we're not going to make the playoffs or anything like that. So I think at this point, you at least want to try to get in the top 4 to try to get Penny or anybody that's going to be a top 5 blue chip prospect.
Yeah. Quincy, how about you? How do you see this game playing out between Washington and Cincinnati?
Yeah, this game, man, this stinks. This game, nobody wants to win. Look, the tiebreaker when it comes down to teams is usually quarterback. Bengals have the tiebreaker quarterback. I think they're going to be able to win this one. They should win this game. But the big question mark is going to be Zach Taylor. Is Zach Taylor going to put this team in position to win? If that's going to be the case, I don't know, because he just hasn't done it quite often this season. Another thing when it comes to the Bengals in this game that I am worried about is that this defensive line for the Washington football team, the team as they call it down in Washington, they're good still. And the offensive line for the Bengals has been improved, but that can fall apart at any given moment because I'm just not trusting the duct tape that's holding that whole thing together in there. So yeah, I think the Bengals are going to win. And Tony, to answer your question, week 4 is when fans know we probably going 5-10 if we like really push it. So, let's just suck. That's when those conversations start. For the 0-16 Browns, it was before the season we were talking about the draft. So, I've been at all different facets of just sorry with the team. And luckily the Browns are 6-3, much like your Baltimore Ravens. So we don't have to worry about that. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Sonny, how about you? Cincinnati, Washington, how does it play out?
Let me say something first. The year the Ravens went 5-11, that was the year that Flacco got injured.
Mm-hmm. I remember it vividly.
I could not root for them to lose. The only thing that happened was I didn't get mad when they lost, right? I was like, okay, they lost, whatever. But during the game, I was pissed every time they did something stupid, which was a lot, and every time they lost. But we swept the Steelers, and that was the highlight of my year.
Yeah.
We swept the Steelers with a crappy team. Anyway, shout out to the Trib. Trib says, I got the football team, sorry, Ace, free. Asking. Okay, so this is as simple, in my opinion, as trenches. Can the Bengals hold them just enough to give Burrow a small amount of time? Because if he has just a little time, he's going to pick the Washington team apart. Different from Quincy, I think the Bengals may not have something to play for, but the Washington football team is just a game behind the Eagles, and they beat the Eagles. So they, meaning Juan Rivera, thinks they can make the playoffs.
They actually can make, they can still win the division and have a home playoff.
Yeah. If they beat the Bengals, I think their next game might be Philly, and if they beat Philly, they move, I think, to first. So I'm just saying it's crazy. It's crazy to think about it, but this is why Haskin got benched, because Rivera thought I have a better shot with Allen and now with Smith, I guess, before putting Haskins. So they're obviously playing for a win. If the D-line dictates the game, they will win. If not, I think the Bengals overall have a better team. So I think the Bengals, if they can hold that D-line just enough, I think Burrow will pick them apart.
I want to call a couple of super chats here. You saw the one from the Trib. Thank you for that. And then we also have one from Joshua Matter here. $3. Appreciate that. Super chats are open. So if you want to send in a super chat, we will read it on air as a way to guarantee yourself. Oh, actually, Josh just sent a message in. I'm assuming this one wanted to come.
Yeah.
Can we admit that Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the AFC North? Listen,
what?
I don't want to. I'm staying away from this one because it's going to derail the show. So I'm going to eject from this conversation. Have at it, boys.
What?
I think it's too early. I think it's too early. I think you can see potential.
I don't think it is too early. I think
we
Joe
are
Burrow
tripping.
is the second best quarterback in this division because when you look at his supporting staff, there's nothing. You look at his coaching staff, there's nothing. He literally is doing this. He's the LeBron James of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Whoa.
He's LeBron
James.
Flag on the play. Flag on the play.
Nah.
When you have Mike Brown, when you have Fluke Tobin, when you have Wack Taylor, and you're actually able to win games, that man is putting the team on his back. He doesn't play like he's a
LeBron.
And last time I checked, even though he didn't have a great game against the Steelers, pretty sure he still has more passing yardage than Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield.
That's dope.
Maybe
passing yardage is one stat. Passing yardage is one stat. But let's also not keep in mind the fact that Ace could very narrowly use wins as a plural right there. Barely could use wins right there in a sentence there. But Joe Burrow, let's not. We just saw this man not be able to throw in 20-mile-per-hour winds. Let's not crown him as the second best quarterback in the AFC.
So you wouldn't take Joe Burrow on the Browns right now instead of Baker?
I would take Baker over Joe Burrow. Yeah,
no,
because
you
Baker
wouldn't.
plays on the lane.
Nobody would.
I would. Baker's done more. Joe Burrow hasn't done it yet. We got to see it.
Let me say this.
Joe Burrow's also hold on. Joe Burrow's also in his first year. We know quarterbacks tend to look good in their first year. I don't think Justin Herbert's going to look this good. I mean, we can have that conversation. Is Joe Burrow even the best quarterback in the draft class right now? Because it doesn't even look like that if we really want to have that conversation. But when we talk about the second best quarterback, I know. He's about to break the rookie touchdown record. Okay. He's about to break the rookie touchdown record. But by the way, that Baker Mayfield broke. So let's put some respect on his name before we get disrespectful, because Baker Mayfield had as good as a rookie year as Joe Burrow is having right now. And he won more games. He was 7-8-1. Y'all probably gonna finish 4-11. Yeah, I know I was saying y'all could win 7 games. Now it's 4-11 because Ace had to get wild with it. Also, can we not? I know I'm tough on Lamar, but dog, he didn't win the MVP last year.
He's still the second best. He's still the second best quarterback in the division. Yeah.
The only thing that I want to introduce in this conversation is wait another year. Baker looked great for year 1, and then he dipped in a little bit, right?
He threw a lot of interceptions. Tony brought that up.
No. He would have led the league in interceptions his rookie year if he had started the entire season.
Still had a great
and instead,
year.
You know who led the league in interceptions? Ben. So thanks, Baker. Appreciate it. Okay, we have a couple of super chats we have to get to. Trib says, slow down now. Look at the Bengals start last year when Dalton was slinging.
Oh,
what? And losing. Okay. Like Burrow, team isn't great. Burrow isn't carrying. No, I mean, okay. See, I will disagree with that in that I think Burrow is carrying this team to how close that they're playing.
I think the problem is when Ace says he's the LeBron. LeBron had a crappy cast, but he carried them to win.
But in basketball, you are 25% of your starting lineup. Joe Burrow is 1 out of 22. I don't know math, but 1 out of 22 is a lot less than 25%.
And you have to remember, he never had any preseason or anything.
I got you.
Straight off.
Well, what we're finding out is preseason actually does not matter, because we're seeing Herbert come in with no preseason, do the same thing to a lesser extent, but still, you know what I mean? Preseason is.
All I'm saying with Joe Burrow is look, we've seen some great things, and I think Joe Burrow is going to be a great quarterback in this league. I've compared him to Deshaun Watson multiple times on this podcast. I think he's very similar to that player, but we have to be cautious on where we think he's at right now. He's not the second best quarterback in the league, because when you look at some of the teams that have, in the division, but when you look at some of the teams that have really made him look bad, it has been really bad with Joe Burrow. In certain conditions, he has not really found his footing. There are some great things, and there's a reason to believe that he will in the future be the second best quarterback in this division, alongside probably Lamar Jackson once Big Ben. Big Ben's probably never going to age. So let me not.
What are we doing here? He's playing through the 100. What are we doing?
So can he get into that conversation eventually? Yeah, but it's his rookie year right now. He's had moments where he's definitely looked like a rookie, and I just think it's a little bit fast to just automatically claim
it's a little rich.
If you put
in a quarterback good,
Bengals right now,
this isn't even the conversation about Baker Mayfield. This is about Lamar Jackson. Is really who you're saying is the problem in this whole conversation, right? Because Baker Mayfield, I don't think Baker Mayfield's a bottom 15 quarterback, but I think he's not. This is the top 15 quarterback division. So yeah, he is the worst quarterback, but that's not really that big of a deal when you have a division that's full of good quarterbacks. The thing is, you got a dude who won MVP, and then you got a guy who's been starting in Pittsburgh and winning games there for 15 years.
You know what I mean? Hall of Famer, it's okay.
I'll bow down to Ben.
Yeah, you got a second ballot Hall of Famer in the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, and then Lamar Jackson, somebody who did we forget.
Lamar isn't playing like that now in 2020.
Right. There are legitimate questions about
This
Lamar for sure.
Look, okay.
But is Lamar playing better than Joe Burrow? I would think so. With all the footage that everybody has available of Lamar Jackson right now, for him to still not be awful. It's a tough look for Joe Burrow's still in that rookie year, and we know that quarterbacks can look much better in their first year playing. Patrick Mahomes is as good as he's looked in his career. He's only looked his best his rookie year because teams weren't prepared for that.
Yeah.
With Joe Burrow, it's yeah, he looks good now, but you have to control for that variable of it being his first year starting. And then when you look at and I want to see what he looks like the second time around against Pittsburgh and against Baltimore. If he does look better,
what he looks like.
I think that argument.
Line. He doesn't have one.
Well, let's get to this next super chat here because he does bring up. He says, "Ace, you're out your damn mind." He's got the best receiving core in the division, and you can't go there after Baker out-dueled him. He's not coming.
He's got the
there.
worst line in the division as well.
He does.
He does have some weapons around him, though.
I will say this:
Yeah,
Lamar has. I think
AJ
of
fell
all.
off this year, though.
AJ did fall off, yeah.
But even with AJ falling out, I think the Ravens had the worst supporting offensive cast, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And Lamar is still holding this offense together. Yes, we talk about his struggles, right? I mean, I have mentioned them at length, but he's still holding the team together at 6-3. So I think it's a good conversation when we're gonna have it also at the end of the year. The one thing you can say is, and by the way, I forgot who did the super chat. Thank you for derailing the show. But it's
Josh.
It's a great conversation to have. And at the end of the year, you will say, well, all these teams have a top quarterback in the league. Going to the future, there's no team with a bottom dwelling in the QB conversation, right? And this division will continue to be tough for years to come.
By the way, I have to correct myself. It's 20.
I said it.
20% in the NBA. I said 25. But like I said, I don't math. So you know what I mean. Like, all right, let's get back to this. Let's get back to this game real quick. I'll keep it quick here on my thoughts on Cincinnati and Washington. Look, I think this does come down to pass rush. Like, the age-old Sonny thing of like it's a trenches game. I do think this is a trenches game because when you look back at teams like Washington that have gone up against Cincinnati, I look at teams like the Chargers in Week 1. Like the Eagles in Week 3, those are teams that the Bengals really struggled to move the ball against because that pass rush was able to get there. You have to imagine Washington could have some success. I mean, this is a great pass rush there in Washington. I do though, we talk about that, but it's Week 1 and Week 3 we're talking about. I mean, this Bengals offense has evolved a lot since then, and T. Higgins is really the guy who has evolved. Right? He's become such a bigger part of this offense. You look back at the 3 games before this, the Bengals played the Steelers. They scored 30 points a game in all 3 of those. And one of those games was against Indianapolis. So I would not be shocked if the Bengals put up some points in this game. And then I look at Washington and I just say, like, this offense is stagnant. I mean, Alex Smith, that quarterback, is doing nothing for them. And they have some nice players. I think Antonio Gibson's a nice running back. Terry McLaurin, it will shock you. I think he's 4th in the NFL right now in receiving yards.
Yep.
Yeah, so, they have some good players there, but with Alex Smith at the helm, they're not doing anything. So you have to, like Quincy said, I think you have to give the edge to the Bengals here because they have the better quarterback. Now, whether or not he's the second best quarterback in the division, I'll say third. Sorry. I just won't rank him. I'll just say he's third. Who's second, who's fourth? That's for you guys to decide. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk about Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. Another not marquee matchup in the AFC North. This is another one that feels pretty meaningless in the grand scheme of things. Let's start with Quincy though, because since Quincy after Quincy came off of his 6-10 prediction of the Steelers, he is basically the Steeler whisperer at this point. He has he's been the prophet here, telling us every week what's going to happen. So Quincy, I am excited to know what should I look for in the Steelers Jaguars game? How are my Steelers going to do?
Oh, they're probably going to win by like 20 points here. I think this is going to be the game where the Steelers actually like win by multiple scores and don't play down to the competition, just because the one way Jacksonville can really get to you is by running the ball. And the one thing Pittsburgh can always stop is running the ball. They've done that very well. I mean, I think they shut down Cleveland completely. They did a decent enough job against Tennessee. They didn't do a great job against Baltimore, but they ended up winning that game anyways. So I think this is going to be a week where they're gonna show up here. Big Ben, he's probably going to have, his standard, 3 touchdown. It's just disgusting. 3 touchdown, 300-yard day. And Minka, I feel like this is Minka's not going to get involved because Gardner Minshew doesn't really push it downfield.
It's not Gardner. It's Luton.
It's Luton.
Gardner broke his thumb.
R.I.P. Minshew.
It's Jake Luton.
Yeah.
This is a Garrett Gilbert. This is a Garrett Gilbert / Cooper Rush situation.
Jake Luton?
Luton. Yeah, you don't know Jake Luton? Come on, man. Everybody. It's
the
household
that
name.
just changed it. The Steelers are only winning by 10 points now because that guy sounds like somebody who's gonna just like have a decent game and people are like, oh, Jake Luton, you gotta get him to and he's gonna sign somewhere for $5 million a year to be a backup. What number does this guy wear? I hope he wears something ugly like 18. You know what I mean?
Let's look it up. He wears 6.
Oh, come on. That's a decent.
That's also a bad number. It's also a terrible quarterback number.
You can see Quincy's face like,
I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. You had your fun now? All right, yeah. So Steelers only winning by 7. Steelers only winning by 7. Yeah, they're gonna be undefeated at the end of this week. I would be shocked if the Jaguars had the audacity to do something like win this week. That would be funny to me. They might be in position to win this game and just choke it away because it's just what the Jaguars are going to do, man. This is like when they were talking about the Jets beating Bill Belichick. This is the same thing. The Jaguars aren't going to beat the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. That's not how this reality is programmed. That's not a place in which a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars are put to be in. No, that's not something that actually happens in reality. I don't care if it's 2020 or not. So yeah, this ain't happening.
I do think though, see, when I look at this game, Quincy, I mean, it is a here we go again situation for the Steelers because this is another game, Tomlin team on the road. What's playing a bad team? What's the spread in this game? 10. The spread, Vegas put this exactly at the point in which Tomlin teams play down to their opponents, which is on the road, favored by 10 or more. And you can just book it. It's going to be a one-score game. Like I've said before, I believe the stat now is 1 in 10 Tomlin teams against the spread when favored by 10 or more on the road. So, and Tomlin had a line this week during his press conference. You know, he always has these Tomlinisms. He said, we don't consider ourselves a Big Ten team facing a MAC school, right? This is NFL. These are NFL opponents we're going up against. Here's the thing though, Tomlin, this should be a Big Ten team facing a MAC school, okay? Because unlike the Cowboys, who the Steelers faced a couple weeks back, the Cowboys were a team coming in that you could consider maybe a playoff team, right, with Dak at the helm. And I know they lost Dak.
They're still a playoff team.
Yeah, right. They could have been a playoff. But they say that's right. They still could be a playoff team. My brother wrote in here, Steelers haven't won since Braun tweeted out Tomlin. That's true, but that was yesterday. So I look at this game and I say, look, the Steelers should be a Big Ten team facing a MAC school, right? That should be the game we're going to watch, but it's not. And so now I have to imagine. Now I have to do a dream scenario where how are the Jaguars going to keep up? Because I look at this team, Jake Luton at the helm. I don't see any way that Jake Luton's going to light up the Steeler defense. And I know they have some nice players. James Robinson's been a nice addition at running back. DJ Chark is one of my favorite receivers in that draft. I think Laviska Shenault was one of the more interesting prospects at wide receiver this offseason. But Jake Luton, I mean, he was terrible. Did you guys watch him last week? He was awful.
It's
awful. He was terrible.
Why would I do that? Why would I purposely watch somebody named Jake Luton play football?
So I just, and then I think about the Jaguars defense. I mean, this is a game where Chef Ben should be cooking all day long. I mean, the Jaguars have one of the worst pass rushes in the league. They can't cover anybody. If Ben throws 50 times in this game, he might throw 45 completions. I mean, this is a terrible Jaguars team. The only worry I have going into this game is this emphasis that Tomlin has on getting the running game restarted. He really wants to get this running game restarted. Made it a big emphasis of his press conference. The Jaguars are actually a decent a run defense team in the last couple of weeks. It's my only worry is they come out and run, punt. I don't know. I can't see the Steelers losing this one. And yet, the last time the Steelers played the Jaguars, it was 2 years ago. They had come off of just demolishing the Carolina Panthers, threw 50 on them. Then they go to Jacksonville, a 2-win team at the time in Jacksonville, and they were struggling in that game. They were down 16-0 late in the third quarter. They had to come back with late game heroics from Ben and AB and Juju in order to come back in that football game. So I'm going to say this is a close game. I don't really know how, again, but, how could you have predicted what happened against Dallas, all the special teams craziness, Ben's injury before half, and then all the short yardage stuff that happened in this game. So I'll predict a close game. I think the Steelers win, but it's definitely going to be within that 10-point spread, in my opinion. But, Sonny, how do you see it playing out?
This is a team, the Jacksonville Jaguars right now are pissed that they beat the Indianapolis Colts that first week because right now they're out of the Lawrence and they're in the Justice Field, which is not bad. But they can be a hiccup win away to be out of that. Why? Because it just ain't winning. Let's be honest. It just ain't winning no game this year.
I like him in the Patriots rematch. Just saying. Throwing it up there.
The Steelers can do exactly what Tony said. Go to sleep for 3 quarters, wake up, and beat the Jaguars. Yeah. Let's be honest. This Jaguars team they had nothing that they can give. Because even though I do like DJ Chark, right? I would love if he can come to Baltimore eventually. I like some of the running back. I'm blanking his name. He has been running. Robinson. He's been running hard lately too, but I mean, the Steelers can basically say, let's stop the run, let that rookie guy just make mistakes and be fine. Because that defense, yes, they're decent against the run, but that's just what the Steelers do the weakest. The Steelers can exploit them throughout the passing game. This could be a huge win. The only reason I wouldn't predict a big win is what you said, Tony. Anytime the Steelers play a crappy team, they say, those
On the
fans
road.
pay.
It's on the road.
Yeah, on the road.
Yeah, right.
Those fans over there, they pay money. We feel bad. Let's keep them honest and then eventually beat them. And that's what the Steelers do. I think they will win by 10. I think that's where they're gonna win. Exactly by 10. So
Not
it's
covering. It's a push. It's a push. It's not a cover. It maintains Tomlin's terrible record against the spread in these games.
It's a push. But yeah, I think this is a game that the Steelers should not be worried. I mean, if for some god reason they lose, and that's concerning. But everything will have to go right for the Jaguars, including Bane walking in Jacksonville and destroying half of the Steelers team. So I'll pick Jackson. I'll pick out the Steelers. Sorry.
By the way, man,
go ahead.
backup quarterback last names used to be so much better. What happened to John David Booty and the Booty brothers? Like, what happened to them? They used to have much better last names. Now Luton.
Steelers used to have Brian St. Pierre. That's great backup quarterback names.
Guys you can get behind. You know what I mean?
Before we get to you, Ace, I do want to read this super chat from the Trib. He said he's picking the Jaguars because Luton. And that's exactly right. That's how you'd have to predict the Jaguars win because there is no logical reason how they should win this game, but he's going to predict them. Ace, how about you? How are you seeing the Steelers?
Even if the Steelers were starting Mason Rudolph, they're going to win this game. The Jags are in tank mode. They're trying to lose every game that they can to get one of those top two quarterbacks. And I think, like Sonny said, it's probably Justin Fields, but that's still better than what they have right now. Great. And so obviously, I think the Steelers may come out a little slow in this game because it's the Jaguars. I mean, just like the Cowboys game, they're probably not going to be coming out with that intensity, but they are going to be focused on trying to go undefeated. They've been whispering about it, but it definitely seems like the players are thinking about trying to go undefeated. So I would probably say this game will be close, but the Steelers are going to win it. Like maybe there's going to be a garbage time touchdown that makes it look a little bit closer than it really is.
Yeah.
But I think definitively Steelers are winning this game.
That I'd be okay with. If this were a game where the Steelers were in control the entire game and then like the Jags got an oh by the way and that's how they covered, I'm okay with that. Generally speaking, that's not how these play out. It's generally you feel the whole game like, are the Steelers really going to lose this game? Like they're playing from behind. They have to come back. That's how it happened against Dallas. We'll see how this one plays out on Sunday. All right, let's get to Philadelphia and Cleveland. Now we get into the interesting stuff. Philly and Cleveland is an interesting matchup to me because you have Cleveland in the middle of this AFC race, which all of a sudden got very tight. You know, all these 6-3 teams together. And Quincy, it feels to me like this is a Cleveland team that I don't know, they're not must wins at this point of the year. But when you're playing a Philly team like this, a 3-win team, you're at home. It feels like the Browns. You know, it's as close to a must win at this point in the season because you want to start accumulating those wins, get close to 10 or 11.
I mean, yeah, the Browns can lose like 2 games going forward, and they play the Steelers, the Titans, and the Ravens up in the schedule. So they really can't lose any of these games that they're supposed to win. And this is going to be an interesting matchup because the Eagles, while they're not a better team than Houston, they do pose some problems that are more problematic for this Cleveland Browns team. Like their pass rush, right? Baker has been looking really good when it comes to that pocket mechanic stuff. I think he's taken a step in that area. I really want to see if that holds when those pockets start to get a little bit more dirty, a little bit more hectic. The thing that's I've seen the difference in Baker over the last 4 weeks is that when those pockets have gotten dirty, he's resisted the urge to run left or right and instead stepped up and then out to find his passing lane, which has made a world of difference. I mean, Tony is somebody who watched Big Ben's development over the years. That's something that's made a huge difference in his game because it just lets your wide receivers be more available to you. So that's been big for Baker. Can he continue to do it? He did it against Houston, and J.J. Watt was in there a couple of times. Did not get home. So I think it's possible, but it's going to be a test for this Cleveland Browns team. Also, the Eagles have a good run game. Browns, when they played Oakland, got ran all over by them.
Yeah.
That's going to be a test. Is Larry Ogunjobi, is he healthy? Was that the problem? Was he just not healthy? And was that why he played like Duke for the last 3 weeks? Or is this going to be a change, or is this going to be something that's going to be a big problem? Because if the Browns can't stop the run, they're not going to make the playoffs. It's really that simple. A bunch of questions that the Browns need to answer are going to happen this week. I don't expect this to be a blowout, but I do think that the Browns can do two things against this Eagles team that's going to make them win. One, on the other side of the ball, I think the Browns are going to be able to get pressure with their front four. I think Myles Garrett's going to be able to be disruptive. I think they're going to be able to get creative with how they move him around, put him inside, outside like they like to do, and he's going to be able to get pressure. If you get pressure on Carson Wentz consistently, he's not that good. If you can get him running, you can get him moving a little bit. He starts to be less consistent. He throws a lot of interceptions in the middle of the field. That's the one area of the field where the Browns get a ton of interceptions. So I like that matchup for the Browns, even though I think Carson Wentz can light us up if the Browns have to start blitzing. That's going to be a problem because he's really good when you blitz. Carson Wentz is. On the other side of the ball, I think the Browns are going to be able to run it. I don't think this Eagles run defense is anything special. I think the Browns would do themselves some favors to add some more variety. I would like to see Kareem Hunt run it more out the shotgun, some halfback draws, some slip screens, add some variety in there just to keep this Eagles defensive line uncomfortable so they don't know what's going, because if you can get them a half a second slowed down with your offensive line, with your tight ends on top of that, then you're going to be able to do a good job negating what that pass rush does. So keep them guessing, keep them off balance. And if you do those things, I think the pathway is clear for you to win. But again, the question is with this Cleveland Browns team, which one's going to show up? Is the team that played against Houston going to show up? Is the team that played against Las Vegas going to show up? Which one's going to show up? And that's the problem. Also, the Browns have some issues with people on the list, the Rona list. I bring up the super chat from Matty Bond here. I think he asks the question.
Yeah, we got a super chat from Eric. Appreciate that. It's $5 donation. Appreciate it. And then Matty Bond, asked a question about Conklin and Parkey being out.
Yeah, Conklin, I don't know if Hubbard is still on the list. If Hubbard's not on the list, I think he'd be fine there for one game. Hubbard's been not terrible at that right tackle position or whenever you need him to swing out there. Also, Cody Parkey being out, that might be a bigger deal because I don't know if you guys have followed it, but the winds at the stadium, at the Cleveland Browns Stadium, have been ridiculous. I'm talking 45 mile per hour, swirly on the lake winds. These are reasons why I do want a strong arm quarterback like Baker Mayfield over somebody like Joe Burrow. Like that's just one of those preferences because it does get like that. That's one of the things I was trying to explain here because the 45 mile per hour winds, that's the thing. Look at what Deshaun Watson wasn't able to do in that game. But yeah, the 45 mile per hour winds, it's either going to be a non-factor that your kicker's not there because you're just not going to kick, or it's going to be a major factor. It might rain. The conditions in Cleveland are really bad, and you just want somebody who's done it there. And Cody Parkey has kicked in Cleveland for a couple of years. He had 1 year where he was on Cleveland, got cut, and then came back. So I would like to see Cody Parkey come back, but if he's not there, that might be a problem because field goals have been a difference in these bad weather games so far in the Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Actually, Eric tried to send in a super chat. He just DM'd me with his chat here. It says he said Chef Ben will serve up another hot order of STFU to all the haters and Sonny, which I guess by implication, Sonny means you're not a hater. Yeah, so I guess congratulations on that. How do you see?
That's where Steelers fans get annoyed. He's going to serve it up to all these haters. They're still down. You're 9-0. Like nobody is doubting you. Like,
but what I tell you guys, it's not a victory lap; it's a victory marathon. Okay, and so this is.
I can't wait for you guys to take an L and Thanksgiving.
Even if we do, we're still 2.5 games up.
It's okay. So. They're going to take this victory marathon and get tired out, and they're going to finish the season 14-3.
Fair.
All right, Sonny, how do you see this game between the Eagles and Browns playing out?
Look, the Browns are a better team. Let me start with that. The Browns are a better team. I've been high on the Browns for most of the year. This is a game that the Eagles on defense, their best attribute is that D-line. So they're quasi-decent. They're 11th. They're ranked 11th right now on the defensive run. And they can produce somewhat of a pass rush. But the offensive line of the Browns is fairly good, right? I know that they're going to miss some guys, but still, the offensive line of the Browns is pretty good, even if they're missing the guys. So that secondary of the Philadelphia Eagles is weak. And it's pretty weak. And that's where Baker, even if they stop the run, which I don't think the Eagles can, that's where Baker should be able to exploit that. If it is windy, obviously that throws a monkey wrench. But if you flip it to the other side, Carson Wentz is erratic. The one thing that the Eagles do is doesn't matter if the team is crappy, as you can argue that the Eagles are, or they're really good. They will keep it close with anybody. They will keep it close, and that's where you're, as Quincy was saying, the field goal kicker comes into play. But the Eagles' offense, look, that old line of the Eagles is not great, and yeah, Myles Garrett is coming. So that running attack for the Eagles, I describe the Eagles' offense as a home run offense, right? They will swing for the fences, and they will get a couple explosive plays, and if you can contain that, you're gonna win. So I think how this game sets up for the Browns, they need to control the TOP, the time possession, run the ball, because with the two-headed monster that they have, even though the Eagles for front is their best, I think the O-line for the Browns can put holes, and the running backs can produce. If they get to the second level, the Eagles really don't have any big linebacker that can stop those big running backs or that big safety. And in the corners, it's just run it. They're going to get softer in that secondary. Then you can hit them with play action. Again, the corners, I don't love those corners for the Eagles. And I think Baker will have a good game in this game. I think this is a game that Baker will excel, and play action will help him a lot. And on the other side, I think the Browns defense, yes, they will get burned once or twice, either on the running side or on the passing side. But they will do enough to contain the like I said, the storm, those big plays. I think the Browns win by around 10 also in this game. Yeah, I think the Browns will control. If they control the time of possession, that defense will be fresh enough. And then what happens is the Carson Wentz is going to be there for a short amount of time. So he will feel like he needs to throw the big play. He needs to push the ball down the field. And that's when mistakes will happen. And that's why I think the Browns by 10.
Ace, what about you? How do you see this game playing out?
I think that this is going to be a trap game for the Browns. I think that the situation is typically different because of the NFC least. The Eagles right now are in first place of that division, right? And they need this win to make sure that they win it. And one thing that I'm worried about that we're not talking about is that this Browns offense has not been great since the bye. We're talking about 6 points in one game or something like that, 10 points in another. What is that, 16 points?
I mean, they just got back from the bye last week.
Yeah, the bye was in between the two bad games. But their last two games, you're right. The last two games that they played offensively.
Keep in mind, though, it's been terrible weather conditions.
Yeah, the weather.
In those terrible weather,
there was 7 points shave.
He still threw.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They did shave 7 points. You have to remember Nick Chubb with his point shaving.
Yeah, that's true. But at the end of the day, this was a team that was averaging like 30 points easily in the season. We can't act like they haven't had some issues lately since OBJ went down. With that being said, however, Carson Wentz could be erratic. I could see Myles Garrett getting to him. The Browns are going to have to do like what I said. They're going to have to commit to the run game, use those dual running backs to get out of here with a win. I think that it's a narrow win, but I think that this is a dangerous game just because Philly is trying to get as many wins as they can in that division, and they're currently in first place.
See, I'm right there with you. I see this as a playoff game almost for both teams, right? Because clearly for Philly, they're trying to stay atop this NFC East where everyone's in it because no one can separate. You look at Philly's schedule after this game. This might be like their only winnable game left. I think they have one more after this. They play Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans, and Arizona. For Philly,
I think the Browns are
winnable, right? For whatever games Philly can win, this is the closest to a winnable game they'll have. Their schedule is Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans, Arizona. After this, they are going 0-4 in those games. I mean, there's almost no chance.
Hey, no DB, no Drew Brees. We don't know what the Saints will.
You don't believe in famous Jameis? Come on,
well,
he's got contacts now. He had LASIK. I mean, the guy is going to be. He got 20/20 vision. He had 30/30 last year, but now he has 20/20 vision. All right. I do.
They're better than the Saints than in Arizona. I think they're about the same level of team as those.
The Saints without Drew Brees.
The Saints without Drew Brees. The Saints with Drew Brees. If you watch the Saints this year,
the Saints are what? The Saints are 7-2. They just crushed Tampa Bay.
So the reality is, to be fair, The Saints weren't playing great on offense. They didn't have Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas came back. The offense went up very quickly.
Well, Michael Thomas hates everyone on the team, though, so you got to remember that.
True. That is true. He got paid. He started hating people.
It's an interesting dynamic on that offense.
I mean, the Saints are still good even without Michael Thomas. I've had him on my fantasy team this whole year. They've still been killing people.
Saints are weird. I will agree that the Saints are a weird team in that early in the year, I think we were all ready to bury them. I think they lost to the Lions early in the year, and we were ready to just, okay, this team is nothing. But they've run off a streak of wins here that's been interesting. And Drew Brees has been low-key bad this year, so Winston may actually improve that team. But I'm not ready to go there. I said may. I'm not ready to go there with a whole hot take. He may improve that offense.
I pick him up in fantasy.
He could improve the offense. He's going to improve the offense. Like, Jameis is going to make that offense better. He's also going to create more turnovers. Like, that's just what it is with Jameis. That's the gamble that you have. That's the Jameis Winston experience. He can ball. He can also give up that ball.
All right. So what Quincy's saying is,
it's better than
what you're saying, Quincy, is you would like to see Taysom Hill start at quarterback for New Orleans.
Oh, God, no. Why would
Alvin Kamara. That whole offense runs through Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. He's having a great year, too.
Doing it.
He's the one running back who's like who's trying to make the point like you should pay running backs. Every other running back who got paid this offseason is trying to make the argument.
Dalvin Come on.
Oh, that's true. That's a Dalvin Cook. I forgot about Dalvin Cook. Good point. All right. Philly's coming off a disastrous loss to the Giants. They were 0 of 9 on third down in that game. And I think the thing that the Giants may have put some tape out there for is if you take Travis Fulgham away from this offense, it is nothing. A whole lot of nothing. Travis Fulgham's been good, man. Travis Fulgham.
He's been really good. It's just like, wow, that dude was on my practice squad in Madden 21. Like, how did this happen, bro? Like, what is 2020?
Yeah, Travis Fulgham, all of a sudden a true number one receiver, because when you take him away, the Eagles' offense just completely shuts down. He had one catch last week against the Giants. I do think this is a playoff game for both teams. Now, we have to remember about the Browns' offense that they have got Nick Chubb back, so that's a huge thing for them. Chubb wasn't great last week for the majority of the game, but he had that huge run at the end of last week to set him over 100 yards. This Philly defensive line is very, very good. They're not very, very good against the run. They're very, very good as a pass rushing unit. They will probably get after Baker in this game.
Although Chubb was over 100 before that run, by the way, just so everybody knows. He's at 163. That was a 55-yard run. He got it in there when he was 163. Yeah, he had 163.
Okay.
So he got it before that run. So
gotcha.
Don't slight my man.
All right.
Don't slight my man.
Here's a concerning part for the Browns going into this game. The Eagles are a turnover machine. You can count on getting big turnovers in this game. Except for the fact the Browns haven't gotten a turnover in 2 weeks. They were leading the league in turnovers 3 weeks ago. Now I think they're like falling out of the top 5. So they need to get the turnovers in this game. It's a rain game, so this is going to be another weather game. This is going to be like played in like 40 degrees and rain. I got a bad feeling about this one with the Browns. I'm going to take Philly in a close game. I think for Philly, again, this game means so much more for them because they're in this division race where they have to start putting together some wins. I know it means a lot for Baltimore or for Cleveland too. But I'm going to take Philly in a close one in the rain. I think the worry for me is that they can't get turnovers. If you can't get turnovers against the Eagles, you're going to have some problems. So that's how I see that one playing out. We'll move on to our marquee matchup of the week in the AFC North. It's Baltimore and it's Tennessee. It's the rematch. It's the rematch from January. It's the game that Sonny, the game that Sonny does not want to talk about. That playoff game was a tough one, Sonny. This is a chance for the Ravens obviously not playing well at this point. They're coming off of a disappointing loss to the New England Patriots. They need a win. I think you've talked about this before. A lot of Ravens fans are saying this is we're getting into must-win situation here because they play the Steelers on a short week right after this. How do you see Tennessee-Baltimore playing out?
Yeah, so look, there's a lot of Ravens fans that want to beat Tennessee because, my goodness, we got so much trash talked when we lost them by their fans, which, that's fine. They won. I got it. I was in that game. It wasn't pretty. The Tennessee fans also were obnoxious in that game, but whatever. They won. Anyway, look, the reality is we're getting Tennessee in a bad time. You will say, well, Tennessee's playing bad. That's the only saving grace. Tennessee's coming from a mini bye. They played the previous Thursday night, so they had a week and a half to get healthy, So when playing Thursday night sucks, what helps Thursday night is the following week because you obviously had that over your competition. Saying that, the Tennessee Titans do something well, very, very well. It's called King Henry. And King Henry loves to run through that A-gap. I think Henry's not the greatest running the stretch. unless he goes after that first level, right? Because
Yeah.
as
He
soon
gets
as
that head of
he's
steam going, and all of a sudden,
exactly. But
Yeah.
when you get him in the A and B gap, that's his favorite because he goes straight. That's his favorite type of run. Well, that's how the Patriots killed us last week because as soon as we lost Brandon Williams, we couldn't stop any runs through there, and Calais Campbell wasn't there, and now we were having to have two rookies basically, a nose tackle and on the 3-4 end side. And then, I mean, they're okay, but they're rookies. They're mid-round rookies for a reason. So, saying all that, I think, man, I have been trying to figure out how we're going to win this game, to be honest. I've been trying to figure out how we're going to win this game. LJ4 is back, which is good because he's more of a thumper linebacker, which we didn't have that. Patrick Queen gets run in not every single, but a lot of the gaps against the Patriots. So obviously, if he's gonna continue that, that's not good again because as soon as Henry will take the steam, you can't stop the dude. So how can I see the Ravens beating them? Well, turnovers. If we get turnovers, obviously that dictates the game. Lamar can be great in this game and we can still lose because again, how can we gonna stop King Henry? I still don't know. I think this game is gonna basically say trenches. I'm gonna go back to trenches. Can the Baltimore Ravens D-line somehow slow down? I'm not gonna talk about stopping. Slow down Henry. If they slow him down, then you have a chance. I think the corners for this defense this week, they should be like, you guys press, maybe one high safety, the rest everybody in the box. Press, high safety, because even though they have a pretty good passing attack, nothing compares if they start running on you. Because if they run on you, play action, and then their passing attack becomes even better. So that will be in the one side. And the other side, our O-line, I talk about it, has been horrible. Tennessee doesn't present a big pass rush, but again, the O-line has been bad. So again, this O-line help protect Lamar. It can scare at the center. Please snap the ball halfway decent. Again, I'm not even talking about the bad snaps that go over you. It's just the snaps that Lamar's not fishing for it. So if the O-line also has time to protect and run block, then we have a chance. But that's it, right? The problem is O-line for the Ravens right now decimated with injuries, playing horrible. D-line for the Ravens decimated with injuries, playing horrible. If the Baltimore Ravens win, I think it will be a huge win for us. Let me say it like that. Because this game is set up for the Ravens to lose. Ravens healthy, I think they can beat Tennessee. Ravens, how they are, where they are hurting the most right now is where Tennessee's strength is. So it's not good. Plus, again, then coming from a mini bye, obviously I'm going to root for my team. But if I'm just trying to do an unbiased analysis here, Tennessee takes this game, man.
Ooh, you're picking the Ravens to lose?
I can never pick the Ravens to lose.
There are people.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So there are people in chat saying if like the season is over if they lose this one, right?
No.
I mean, do you feel that way? Do you feel like this Ravens team puts okay? So they can.
No, because I think the big thing will be if they lose this game. Now you're basically you can't lose any other game. Now you have to beat the Steelers. And Tony, no disrespect for the Steelers, I think Baltimore matches up better, even with the injuries to the Steelers, than with the Tennessee, because the Steelers' running attack is not great, and that's where we're gonna be weakest right now, right?
Do I need to get the chef hat out? Do I need to get the chef hat out?
No, you have to take the chef out. We can talk about that in the following week. But right now, I think if we lose, then you're basically in the must-win situation. Again, it's not that I think there's no way for the Ravens to win, right? I'm not talking like the Ravens are Jacksonville against the Steelers. Yeah. I'm just saying right now, this game is like a 60-40 or 55-45 in favor of Tennessee. They're coming up rested. They're ready to prepare for us, and we are coming with injuries where they're good. So that's all.
We have a super chat here from Eric who says, "Look, Sonny, don't claim victory on Thanksgiving. Your team is days away from losing again and falling behind the Browns. Let that sink in." I believe Eric is a Steeler fan. Steeler fans, by the way, we write in super chats. Can we just use hashtag victory lap? Just help. It'll just help us on the show. No.
Okay. You out of the conversation.
Let me start banning people here.
Ace, your thoughts on the big revenge game, Lamar against the Titans? It's Ravens Titans part 2.
So before we get into that, I'm gonna switch my pick from the Browns to the Eagles. I feel like the Eagles are going to win that game. And I feel like the Titans are going to win this game for the same exact reason. They need this game to try to catch up to the Colts. The Colts are playing the Packers this week. The Colts could lose that game. The Titans cannot afford to lose this game at this moment, especially since they lost to the Bengals. That was one that they needed to win. And then also they had the loss the next week. So I think that the Titans, which I called this in the offseason, this was one of the losses that I had. They shut down an MVP caliber Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson is not having an MVP caliber season this year. And the Ravens right now are just in a bad spot. They just came off of a loss to the Patriots. There's turmoil between Lamar Jackson and Greg Roman. This is going to be a game where I think that all comes to a head. I thought last game they were going to get rid of Greg Roman. I think if they lose this game, something has to happen. Something has to be shaken up. Something has to happen because I think that it's going to get ugly. But they still don't have an answer for Derrick Henry, as Sonny put. And I think it's the fact that the Titans need this game, and they're going to have to try to come out here and get a win. And obviously, it seems that their coach was the person that kind of gave the clues on how to defend Lamar Jackson. And I think some teams are kind of using that strategy. So I know that he's going to have that game plan for them this one. And I think that the Titans are going to win this game.
Whew. All right. So we got 2 for 2 on the Titans so far. Quincy, you going to make it 3 for 3?
Hey guys, I think we've forgotten, like, this game happens at 1:00. You know what I mean? It's not a primetime game. So the Ravens are going to show up to this one. Wait.
Are you calling Lamar Jackson Andy Dalton?
I mean, he's looked like he's had that Andy Dalton record this year in primetime. It's been as comparable as that has been. I mean, look at his primetime numbers this year. It's part of the reason why I can't this. You know, I'm jumping ahead, but I can't pick them to win that Thanksgiving game because it's a huge game. And he hasn't done it all season. Why would I go now? But, you know, I get why people are optimistic. But this is a 1:00 game. This is at home, you know. I don't know what time that playoff game was. I think that was a 4:15 game.
It was late. Yeah, it was a night.
Yeah, so unless they send Tony Romo and Jim Nantz here, I'm pretty sure that the Ravens can win this game.
Check, actually.
Yeah, but if it's just the number one game in that time window, then that's going to change things because you know how they crumble against some big games. But realistically, the Ravens have some issues, right? They have some issues with the defensive line, with their offensive line. They have some issues with their defensive line, and I think they can be more susceptible than people think to some of this play action zone run stuff if you really commit. Now, the thing with the Titans is that they don't push the outside that much. I think that's really what you need to do against the Ravens is push the outside. But if they get the inside against the Ravens, yeah, that will be it. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to have a good game. I think this will be a competitive game, but I think the Ravens are probably going to end up waking their offense up a little bit here. I know they're short on tight ends, you know. Hollywood Brown did have a good game this was his last good game against the Titans last year. So you know there is cause for excitement there. Maybe he can have another big game there. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I just think this is going to be a big Mark Andrews day, and I think the Ravens are going to have a high chance of being able to get the ball into the red zone. And once you get into the red zone, I think this offense can finish if they commit to getting the ball to their tight ends and stop trying to throw it to their wide receivers there. So I think the Ravens are going to win this game. I think this is a game the Ravens should win. And if the Ravens don't win this game, they are in massive trouble. Like that loss to New England was a big loss on national TV. And that loss there, that could end up costing them because if you look at their schedule, their next 4 games is going to determine their playoff fate, quite frankly.
Yeah.
If they don't beat Tennessee, if they go 1-3 here, they don't beat Tennessee, they don't beat Cleveland, they don't beat Pittsburgh, they're done. That's it. It doesn't matter what they do for the rest of the season. They're not winning any tiebreakers. They're done for. That's the season for the Baltimore Ravens. And what a shock it is that we're at this point where we're talking about 4 games within this season being it for the Baltimore Ravens playoff hopes when we thought this was going to be a runaway first place team in the division. Now, a lot of that has to do with Pittsburgh blowing the doors off of everybody. But, and the AFC just being extremely competitive this year. But that's the circumstance. I mean, they got the Browns chasing their tail right now, and Baltimore fans, whether you think the Browns are a better team or not, that's not really what's up for debate here. The Browns have the easier path. So they don't play all of these playoff teams, coming up here. So that's going to be the big thing for the Ravens, and they have to win 3 out of these next 4 games, or at least 2 out of these next 4 games, or else they're done. They're absolutely done. So I think back against the wall, Tennessee's not in that situation. Tennessee's going to be in it with their division. They can afford to drop a game here. I don't know how Mike Vrabel is coming off the bye week, but Tennessee's also been fairly inconsistent. I mean, you talk about a team that had no practice and blew the doors off a good Buffalo team and then lost to Cincinnati, at home. It's just they've been wildly inconsistent. I don't know if I could bet on them on the road. So I would go with the Ravens here. But, man, hey, the Ravens, I'm telling Raven fans, I know y'all had that victory lap all of 2019, but your season is being, condensed into these 4 games. If you don't go better than 2-2 or better, you're done. That's the case for you.
I agree.
And it's tough sledding. You play Pittsburgh at home, but you play Cleveland on the road.
It's in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh game. It's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, because they lost the one in M&T Bank. So you got 2 division games on the road. I don't know if that Pittsburgh game's national TV yet, but that probably will end up being national.
Oh, it's Thanksgiving Day.
Obviously, Quincy. You got brain here. And the Browns game is definitely national TV. This one's not. So, you need to win the ones that aren't on national TV if these trends hold up. But, all jokes aside, this is your season. These next 4 games, Raven fans, is yours.
Ace, can we skip the Tribs? Can we skip the Tribs one to go to the next one real quick just to point this out? Tony Serrano, I'm not sure you pronounce that, writes in, Nance and Romo are calling the game Titans by 1,000. Hard to disagree with that one.
Yeah,
that's not looking good. All right, we got to go to the Tribs. We go back to the Tribs real quick. He says, I got the Titans. Roman said identity change is coming soon.
That's not good.
Trib doesn't seem happy about that. I say we pack the box, let Humphrey and Marcus play with 1 safety.
That's what I said.
I do want to ask you, Sonny, about that identity change thing. What is that just like coach speak, or are we really going to see? And what would it even look like if there is some sort of identity change with this offense?
To be honest, identity change for us this year will be going back to how we played 2019. Power running, heavy running, forget drop back and pass. Because this year we have tried to do more passing than last year, attempt-wise. And Lamar sometimes finishes scrambling. The other thing Lamar has, he does have a lot of green room usually in front of him on the passing side because he grows out of the pocket. But Lamar, different from all the other running quarterbacks, he won't right away go off and run. He will keep looking and see if somebody gets open. So I think identity for us, which it will be for me a good one, go back to how play style of 2019. Power running, especially with a bad O-line, you have to go power running. If you go the other way and say, well, we got just gonna be more finesse and try to pass the ball, we don't have the O-line for that shit right now.
Yeah. This is this is the science experiment that I was talking about, right? I know I wanted to see this team lose to the Patriots just for science purposes. Here we are now. It's happened, and the science is on. You know what's been interesting about it? It's more interesting to even watch the opposing fans' reaction to it. Obviously, I'm very excited about it, but I didn't expect to see, you got Ace on here talking about Burrow could be even better than Lamar at this point. I see Browns fans in the chat ready to say the Browns are better than the Ravens. Right now, everyone's ready to jump on the Ravens at this point. I'm excited to see it. This is a game where it is obviously it's the revenge game. We all think about what Derrick Henry did, running all over this Ravens team. It doesn't take a big imagination to go back to Sunday night and say, oh, if Damian Harris is running all over the Ravens defense, what's Derrick Henry going to do in this matchup? The interesting thing, though, if you go back and watch that playoff game, Derrick Henry running all over this team was not the only story in that game. The ineffectiveness of that Ravens offense was a big part of that game. That's why I talk about, I'm not a yards guy, right? I don't, yards don't necessarily mean points. They're not a good metric. That Ravens team put up a ton of yards against the Titans. They didn't put up points. Why didn't they? Because they turned the ball over too many times. They were stopped on 4th down twice, long drives with no points. Both of Lamar's interceptions were in Tennessee territory. They had 5 penalties in that game that set them back. they were, this is an offense in the Baltimore Ravens that used to be death by 1,000 cuts. They could beat you in a bunch of different ways. Lamar running, Lamar throwing, Mark Andrews over the middle, Marquise Brown down the seam or down the sideline. They had the 2 tight end set last year, right? They could go with Mark Ingram. They would bring in Gus Edwards every once in a while. This was an offense that had a ton to worry about, right? And that's why teams feared not just Lamar Jackson, but feared this Ravens offense. This year, though, is much like what we saw in that Tennessee game last year. This Ravens offense has turned into death by 1,000 cuts that are self-inflicted. This Ravens team, it's whether it's drop passes or penalties or bad snaps or just a lack of an explosion on this team, and you add some of Lamar's problems in there, and you get you to an offense that look by DVOA right now in the bottom half of the league. I think they're like 20th in DVOA on offense. It's insane to look at how far this Baltimore team has fallen offensively. But when I look at this matchup in particular, at this moment in time, it's important to remember there's no defense played in the NFL, and especially by the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee's defense is trash. When you watch what Joe Burrow did against this team, lit him up. I mean, the reason why they were able to win that game, the Bengals were, is because they jumped out to an early lead. Tannehill made one mistake, and it was night-night. I mean, Burrow just continued to pour on the points. I imagine this is a game, and again, for science purposes, I want to see how Lamar responds in these big moments. But I do imagine this is the game that Lamar finally has the big game in the big moment. He has to, because he's going up against such a crap opposition here in this Titans defense. They have to be able to move the football against this Titans team. If they cannot, if this is a Ravens team that cannot get in the high 20s or into the 30s against this Titans defense, then we really have to start talking about, wait, hold on. What happened last year? Was that just like an aberration? Is this the true Lamar? I mean, those are the real questions that are going to start coming up. I don't imagine that's going to be the case. Lamar Jackson is still a talented player, even if he does struggle in clutch moments, even if he did struggle last week and struggle in the biggest moments of this season. I just can't imagine that the Tennessee Titans have either the game plan or the personnel to do what either New England or Pittsburgh or even Kansas City before them has done. So I'll take the Ravens in this game, a big win for them. It'll give them a lot of momentum going into that game against Pittsburgh on Thursday. And then we shall see what happens in that matchup. Any other closing thoughts here before we go, guys?
Yeah, real quick, I want to jump on when we was having that argument about Joe Burrow versus Baker Mayfield. For all these Cincinnati fans who want to act like they don't know, first of all, like Baker Mayfield ain't been his best self against the sorry Bengals the last 2-3 years of his career. Y'all know Baker Mayfield got more touchdowns, deep ball completions, and wins specifically in Cincinnati. Wins specifically
How
at
many
the
games
stadium.
has he thrown for 150 yards this season? Are we serious?
How many yards?
Not last week. Last week he threw 132.
What he do in Cincinnati? What he do in Cincinnati though? What he do in Cincinnati though? 5 touchdowns, 200 something, 22 straight, 22 straight. What? 22 straight. And then all his career, all he's done is beat the Bengals up in Cincinnati. So he's done more in Cincinnati. He's won more games. He's won more games in Cincinnati than Joe Burrow has, baby. So next time y'all want to act
disrespectful right now, are you really going with the Ben
Baker Mayfield? Like
that stat ain't even true for Ben in Cleveland no more.
Who says that he's a good number one pick?
The Bengals defense. That's who says he's a good quarterback.
The only thing that I hear about Baker Mayfield is that
so Joe Burrow's a more overhyped quarterback. Thank you.
Overhyped?
Yeah.
400 yards is overhyped.
400 yards on soft
yards
400 yards on the soft amplitude that they're giving him the underneath on all the time. What's his average yards of completion? Talk to me when Joe Burrow completes 2 deep balls in one game.
Baker's
I want to see it.
Guys.
The Serino brothers are super chatting.
Yeah, we got some super chats here. First one from Tony, who says, "Let the record show I did not derail the show this time." So. You're welcome.
I'm just saying. Let me know when Joe Burrow completes.
I'm just saying when Baker Mayfield had a bad line, what did it look like?
Appreciate that, Chris. I'm getting married this weekend. My wedding's on Saturday. Appreciate that.
It's kind of ugly.
Oh, I didn't know. So you're getting married this weekend?
This weekend, Saturday. Yeah.
Congrats, Tony.
Responsible.
By the way, Quincy, as long as we're doing the going back to old conversations, chat did point out to me that Nick Chubb had 126 yards this week, so that run did put him over 100.
I refuse to accept the results.
Nick Chubb had 100. Recap.
Shout out to Tony. Tony's getting married. I'm pretty sure Tony's the responsible thing before you get married to anybody is, wait, make sure that this thing works out for the long term. Do all those.
Here we go. You're gonna play my marriage on Joe Burrow. Don't do that. No,
the Bengals fans getting married. They met Joe Burrow last week. Y'all out here dropping them draws for Joe Burrow.
22 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. Come on, we didn't forget about last season. We didn't forget about Baker from last season.
Forget about the 27 that broke the rookie touchdown record. Talk to me when Joe Burrow does that.
Both quarterbacks have fatal flaws. Baker Mayfield throws too many interceptions.
He's about to
Joe Burrow's
break
arm
Andrew
strength is
Luck's
the problem. Listen, guys.
Joe Burrow, I'm about to be a Joe Burrow hater for the rest of the show, for the rest of these streams. Joe Burrow can't throw down 20 feet, 20 yards.
Baker Mayfield throws for
he got beat out by Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State.
He got beat out by 200 yards.
Imagine
That'll do it for.
Imagine getting beat out in college by the third stringer of the Washington football team. That man got replaced by somebody.
Are we really okay? You really gonna go back to Joe Burrow's college days to rip on him? I mean, the guy had like 79 touchdowns.
One year wonder at LSU. Only the one good year. Sure, it was great.
He won a championship. Good year.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, hold on. Baker Mayfield.
Oh, okay.
Did Baker Mayfield have more than one good college year? I don't actually know.
I think he had two.
He had 2.5. He had 2.5.
Wasn't he a walk on? I mean, he didn't even get recruited. That's how bad he was in college.
He had 3. He was a Big 12 freshman of the year at Texas Tech. First of all, put some respect on his name. Then he left and then dominated at Oklahoma.
We had to say it right now.
I wouldn't say dominate. I wouldn't say
quarterback. You would say.
I would say he choked in that Georgia game. He choked in that Georgia game. You would say that. All right. That is going to do it for this week's another exciting edition of AFC North Talk.
Don't forget to hit that like.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody who's watching right now. I think we have over 200. We only have hold on before we end the show. No. We have 200 people watching right now. Only 79 likes. We got to get that over 100. We're not ending the show until we do.
Hit that like before you go.
Get the like button. Hit the like button.
Bengals fans, if this doesn't get over 100 likes, Joe Burrow is the bust.
He can't even throw.
Look at all these weapons.
Look, you can't compare. Comparing Baker to Burrow, it's like apples and oranges because Baker plays in a run-heavy offense where he is protected, and Burrow plays an offense where he is literally doing entire offense. So you can't really compare these two right now. And I don't think either of them is like head and shoulders above the other. That's my own take. But anyway, we have 103 likes, so I appreciate everyone for liking. And if you are not subscribed, make sure you are subscribed to this show because we are live Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5:45 p.m. Eastern time. We will do our review show on Tuesday of next week. Before then, Ace, let people know where they can find your work.
You can find me at New Stripe City and at the AFC North Talk.
Quincy, how about you?
You can find me on youtube.com/Quincy Carrier. You can also find me on Twitter at Quincy. And you can also find me on Twitch. And you can find me rooting this week for Ohio's most winning professional quarterback in the state. I'm just saying.
No,
I'm just saying.
Ben Roethlisberger has won. Ben Roethlisberger from Ohio.
Pennsylvania. He plays in Pennsylvania. Baker plays in
plenty of time in Ohio.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Also, Cincinnati. I don't know why y'all act like y'all don't know Baker Mayfield could be good when all he's done is be good against the Cincinnati Bengals. What's the record against the Bengals? Over under
this week.
It depends on the wind and the rain. But let's be honest. If Joe Burrow is playing in 40-mile-per-hour winds, he's going to get intentional grounding. He's going to get – no, he didn't. He didn't play in 40-mile-per-hour winds on the wind. Did he play with 40-mile-per-hour winds?
It was 20. It was 20-mile-an-hour winds.
20-mile-per-hour winds. But if he played, hey, all I'm saying is if Joe Burrow played in
we
those,
are going deep on the stats. You got to remember, Sonny. Next time you talk about Lamar, you better know the wind speeds.
I know, right?
I'll tell you what.
All I'm saying, if Joe Burrow played in those wind conditions,
and Joe Burrow
get intentional grounding every play because they would never leave the line of scrimmage.
We got another super chat here from Dom who writes in last minute dog check for Ace. So there you go, Ace.
Yes,
support here on the show. Appreciate that, Dom.
Where
did I leave off? Sonny?
Paper for Christmas and tell him it's Joe Burrow's arm.
You can find me at SZG
Sonny, where can people
Sports.
find your work?
SZG Sports, everywhere, also here, and the AFC North Talk. Hey, if you love this show, come join us. This is stuff that happens. And I feel like every show somebody breaks for our debate. So go follow us, subscribe. Also, Flick, guys, go check us
That's
out.
right, the Flick
So-
chat, yes.
Yes, so we can be there trash talking during
So
the
we
game.
can have more
I
flip
cannot
followers than
wait.
Baker Mayfield passing yards.
I
Can you
cannot
believe,
wait.
Sonny, that we just had this argument between these two? They don't play again this year. They don't play again this year.
I know you
Bengals
got
played
swept. Be quiet, Bengals
They played
fans.
twice already.
Y'all got
They played twice
swept.
already. We gotta wait till
0-2.
next year to actually settle this debate. It'll be a year from now.
Oh, man,
That's
that's
I don't
a
think it's a
rating
debate.
of over like
I don't think
100.
it's a
A
debate.
QBR of like 100 against the Bengals, and y'all still like he's no good. He's
That's
good
the
against
only
y'all.
game that he
You
plays
can
good,
find
though.
me.
Every other one is 100 yards.
Oh, we got the
Joe
trib
Burrow
writing in.
won
We got another
2
super
games.
chat.
Super chats.
Super chat. The trib. Andy threw 8 games last year, 2250, 9 touchdowns. Burrow threw 8,
He's Andy Dalton. I
2270.
told y'all he's on that Dalton diet.
11 touchdowns.
It's Joe Burrow's stats. So Joe Burrow's doing worse than
Dalton
Andy.
diet.
They're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing. It's a
Interception.
system.
I would love to see. It's interesting
I'll
that
let
Trib
the
left out
interception
interception.
go.
He did leave interceptions out. It's an interesting stat to leave out. Kind of
Joe
matters.
Burrow, system quarterback.
All right, you can find me on
Wow.
Twitter at Steeler Country. You can also find me on Locked On Steelers every Tuesday with my friend Christopher Carter, and you can find me here. I don't start any of these debates. I just moderate them. It's the nice thing about me here. I'm the
Super chat started it.
cool, calm, collected one who has
Hey,
to
remember
moderate.
Ravens Steelers? Remember
Yeah,
Ravens
I don't
Steelers?
remember. No, it was. I rember being very calm and collected on all of these
yeah.
shows.
All I'm
So you
saying
can
is
find
the
me
second
here
best quarterback in the
moderating
AFC
every.
can't have 2 wins. Like can't be out here last place with the second best quarterback in the division.
My
That don't make no sense.
6 and 3 went right to your head. Holy cow!
Yeah,
He got 2.4 wins. He's the second best. 2,000 yards with the aces here. What are y'all talking about? What are y'all talking about?
I can't wait for
6-3.
Let Baker
I'm
cook.
not
I
even-
know we got our.
I'm not
Baker
even-
Cook. That's right.
Y'all were just
Once you
talking
get a
about
chef,
Keenum
once
a few
with the
weeks
first
ago.
of you to buy a chef's hat, that's who wins the debate.
Case Keenum.
I'm not even trying to
Case
tell you
Keenum.
Baker Mayfield is the
People were
second
talking
best
about
quarterback
Case
in the
Keenum.
North. This
That
is
would never happen
disrespectful
to
to Lamar.
Lamar in his life. We're not gonna
All
say,
right.
"Hey, Ryan Philly, let's see what he looks like."
All right, that'll do it for AFC North Talk this week. Thank you all for watching. And if you're listening in podcast, you can find this on YouTube. Search AFC North Talk. Or if you would prefer this in a podcast form, go to your favorite podcast provider. Type in AFC North Talk. You'll find us there. We will be back on Tuesday, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time for another lively debate here on AFC North Talk.
Hashtag Boo Boo Burrow.
Oh,
Baker's trash.
hashtag Baker
Boo
interception.
Burrow.
I mean,
Boo Boo Burrow.
Baker
Hide-
is trash.
hide
Don't let
Baker.
Are you listening?